Welcome to the video tutorial and user guide for My Business Account, brought to you by Prepay Solutions. My Business Account is a versatile and easy-to-use application enabling small and medium-sized enterprises to manage their corporate expenses prepaid programs. Immediately after logging in with a unique username and password, the Program Manager Administrator is presented with a list of companies enrolled in a prepaid corporate program. Let's take a moment to familiarise ourselves with the on-screen information. Here you have the company name, the company number, the master account number, and finally you have the balance of the master account. The master account is the funds that belong to the company that can then be used to distribute funds to employees of the company. It's worth remembering that if you've logged in as a normal user, you'll bypass this screen and instead be presented with company-specific account holder information relevant to your organisation. Now let's take a closer look at an individual company record by highlighting and clicking on the particular company name. This is the account holders page, the main landing page in My Business Account. At the top of the screen, you can see some basic user functions, such as Home, which will bring you back to this screen, Change Password, and Logout. Change Password opens a separate screen asking for your existing password before entering in your new password twice to ensure accuracy. On all of the pages, you can also see some summary information relating to the master account. This includes the balance of the master account and the account number. On the right-hand side of the account holders page, you'll notice a Transactions button. By clicking the Transactions button, you can see the transaction history of the master account. To reiterate, the master account is the fund that belongs to the corporate that can be used to distribute to the employees of the company. The transaction page provides greater detail on the spending patterns for each account. By pressing the Search button, you are able to refine your search filters. You can filter on date range, which is a mandatory requirement and which is valid for up to 2 years of transactions. You can also search via specific transaction amounts. The Reference tab refers to the unique transactional identifier, which is an individual number visible in the Details tab. The Category section is a pull-down tab and is based on the type of transaction. Each program has a customizable category tab tailored to the specific business. And finally, the Status tab, by default, shows all successful transactions. Should you wish to see any pending or failed transactions, then simply select the All option in the Status menu. You can export all transactional data by simply pressing the Export button. The Export screen also allows you to export all sub-account transactional history in addition to the master account. When clicking the Export option, it creates a CSV file that offers a greater level of transactional data and can be viewed in third-party programs, such as Microsoft Excel. You can export on a specific date range, and either the master account or all accounts can be exported. After successfully exporting the transaction data, we return to the account holders page. Looking at the main section, you will notice that the left-hand column consists of the account holder names. By clicking the arrow on the right-hand side of the screen, a search box appears, where you can perform basic search functions including name, employee reference, and account number. Should you wish to quickly see any additional details, you can use the cursor to hover over the account holder name, at which time further information such as address details, telephone number, and date of birth will be displayed. Looking at the column headers, we have account holder name, employee number, which is a customizable field depending on the company structure, the status of the account, which could be active, blocked, or inactive, the 14-digit unique account number, and finally 2 balances, available to spend and cleared balance. Cleared balance is the balance after confirmed transactions, and available to spend takes into account any pending transactions. Next to cleared balance, you'll notice 2 icons. The padlock identifies any spending restrictions in place. The $sign signifies if there is a funding rule on the account. By hovering the cursor over the icon, you can see the details of any funding or spending restrictions in place. Once you select one or more accounts, you will notice that Account Actions appears on the right-hand side of the screen. The top-line command is Add Funds. By clicking the Add Funds option, a new window is displayed that allows you to move funds from the master account into the individual sub-accounts, with all transactions taking place in real time. Simply select the account you wish to load, and then enter the amount you wish to load into each account before finally clicking the Credit button. A confirmation screen will ask for confirmation of the transaction, in addition to summary account information displaying the account balance before and after the transaction. Clicking Confirm will bring you to a screen that confirms the transaction has been conducted successfully. Should a transaction fail, the account will be highlighted in red with notification of the failure in the Transfer Results column. When you return to the main account holder page, you will notice that the balance of the master account has decreased, while the balance of the highlighted account has been credited with additional funds. Now let's subtract funds from an account. It's basically the same simple process as adding funds. First, we highlight the account we wish to use, followed by selecting the Subtract Funds option on the right-hand menu. By clicking the Subtract Funds option, a new window is displayed that allows you to move funds from the sub-account into the master account. After selecting the account you wish to debit, then enter the amount you wish to transfer. A confirmation screen will ask for confirmation of the transaction in addition to summary account information, displaying the account balance before and after the transaction. Clicking Confirm will bring you to a screen that confirms the transaction has been conducted successfully. You can also block any accounts by highlighting the relevant accounts and selecting the Block option from the right menu bar. By activating the Block option, an account block confirmation screen appears. Once confirmed, this is followed by a block summary page detailing which account has been blocked. To unblock an account, you follow the same procedure. Firstly, you highlight the relevant account, followed by selecting the Unblock option from the right menu bar. This reverses the block, and the account is once again available. Clicking on an account holder provides additional details, including the name, employee number, any funding or spending rules that have been assigned, the account number, the account status, cleared, and available balances. On the lower half of the screen, you can also see any cards that are assigned to the account holder. Now usually you would just see one active card, but if the account holder recently had a lost, stolen or damaged card, you would also see that information. Card information includes the master PAN, card serial number and expiry date. Looking on the right-hand side, you will note that the account actions are exactly the same as the right-hand command column. The only difference is that you have an additional transaction history function on the right-hand menu. Clicking through on the transaction history, the date time column tells you the date when the transaction was authorized. The next column details the type of transaction. The third column provides the card PAN information if it was a card-based transaction. It's worth remembering that if the transaction was simply between the master and sub-accounts, the card itself would not be involved and subsequently wouldn't be listed in this column. The details column includes a unique transaction reference and, depending on the transaction type, you will either see details of the card acceptor or the master account details, should the transaction be between the master and sub-accounts. As with the transaction page, you can export this information as a CSV file for use in third-party programs, such as Microsoft Excel. Returning to the account holder summary page, you will also note a card actions header in the right-hand menu. This is where you can report a card lost, stolen, or damaged. By clicking on the Lost, Stolen, Damaged tab, you are presented with a subscreen where you can specify the nature of the card issue prior to blocking the card. Now please be aware this is a permanent block. There is also an additional details field, and it is recommended that you input any further information here relating to the card's lost, stolen, or damaged status. Returning to the account holder summary page, you'll also note an Activate option under the Card Actions subheader. This function enables you to activate account holder cards. Online card activation is often used as a security feature when a card has been sent via the postal system prior to account activation. Depending on the specific nature of the program, it is often the case that the card will need to be activated in My Business account prior to being used. By highlighting an account holder and clicking on the Profiles tab, you're presented with the Profile Summary screen, a useful transactions management tool in My Business account. Now let's take a look at profiles. There are two types of profiles: a spend profile, which allows you to assign rules as to how the funds can be spent from the sub-account, and a funding profile, which allows you to set rules to automatically load the sub-account. You assign rules to a profile, and once the profile is ready, it is then assigned to the account holder. The great benefit of assigning profiles to accounts is that you can change multiple accounts, say for example, upping a spending limit from 100 to 105 euros with one simple instruction. By selecting the Funding tab on the Funding Profiles page, you can see any profile assigned to the account holder. To create a new profile, you press the Add New Profile button, which brings up the Add New Profile subscreen. Firstly, we add a profile name. We're going to call this profile Management Funding, followed by a description of the profile instructions. And we're going to give these instructions as €1,000 funding per week. Next is the schedule, the frequency of the funding rule. You can either select per day and nominate which days of the week you would like the funding rule to apply, or alternatively, you can select monthly and then decide on a specific day or the last day of each month. We're going to add a weekly rule. Finally, we have the method for loading the funds, of which there are two options. You can choose from funding a fixed amount, or you can top up the balance to a set total. So we'll fund by a fixed amount of €1,000 and save the profile. Saving the funding profile brings us back to the Funding Profile Summary screen, where a new profile, Management Funding, was successfully added, and a new funding rule, €1,000 per week, was successfully implemented. To make any changes, simply press the Edit button on the right-hand side. The Edit Profile screen allows you to make changes to the funding rules. The only change that can't be implemented is editing the profile name itself, which becomes permanently assigned upon creating the funding profile. However, you can edit the description, cycle, frequency, and method of funding prior to saving the profile. Saving changes in the Edit Profile page brings us back to the main Funding Profile Summary screen. Should you wish to delete a profile, that instruction can be performed pressing the Delete button. Please note though, you can only delete a profile if it isn't assigned to any cardholders. Now that we've created a funding profile, it's time to assign it to a cardholder. It's worth remembering that you can only assign one load profile and one spend profile to an account, but at any time these settings can be changed by the program manager in My Business account. To assign a profile, you highlight an account holder and select the Funding Profile tab on the right-hand menu. You're then presented with a separate Funding Profile screen where you simply select the correct profile from the drop-down menu. In this case, we're selecting Management Funding. Once selected, you get a brief overview of the rules on screen, both the cycle and method of payment. Then simply click Confirm, followed by Close on the Funding Profile page, and the profile has been successfully assigned to the account holder. As you return to the account holder page, you will notice a dollar icon next to two account holder names, signifying an assigned funding profile. By hovering the cursor over either of the icons, you can also see additional summary funding profile details, including both the funding cycle and funding method. Deleting a profile is just as easy as creating and assigning one. Simply click on the Profiles tab on the account holder page, followed by selecting the Funding Profiles tab on the sub-page. Now this brings up a profile summary list, including the profile name and profile description. Simply click the Delete icon to erase the profile, but do make sure that the profile isn't assigned to an account holder prior to deletion. My Business account won't enable a profile deletion if it's still assigned to an account holder. To create a spending profile, firstly we click the Spending Profile tab on the Funding Profile screen, followed by the Add New Profile button.